Hey, everybody, welcome to the Irrelevant Podcast, episode 14. I'm switching things up now. Right now, I'm here with not Jason, but my friend Mark from New Orleans. He's my friend from fucking high school. We wrestled together for a year. That was some shit.
I
I
was.
forget that we even did that. A lot has changed since I was, at our old high school. So, yeah, Matt's my sorry, not fuck. Why am I calling you Matt? I'm retarded. Um,
Probably 'cause it the
Mark's
M.
yeah, yeah, Mark's my really good friend from New Orleans.
Dude, so how you
Yeah. So how you
been?
doing, man?
That's what I was gonna ask you. How you been?
Dude, I keep saying this on my podcast with Jason. I'm fucking feeling it, man. I'm 10 out of 10. I keep counting the blessings. Like it's fucking tastic.
Bro, that's what's up. Well, like, tell me
I
about it, because like
know,
I haven't
man.
seen you in like since before, like the pandemic and everything. I haven't seen you since like
Yeah,
2019. So like, what's up? Like, how you been? Give me a whole.
wait. Yeah, sure. What the fuck? Like when was the last time we saw each other? I don't even remember.
I don't know, man. Might have been like one time we were leaving school and like I dapped you off or something, or maybe
Some
might have been at
shit.
wrestling
Yeah.
practice. I don't know. I ended up quitting just because I don't. I had like I don't know. I was just distracted.
Don't you do like jujitsu now?
Yeah, yeah. I go to jujitsu sometimes. They do kickboxing over
Oh
there
fuck
too. It's
yeah.
it's really fun. I mean,
Oh
wrestling just
yeah.
does
Yeah.
something to your brain, the way you think, and I mean, you know what I mean. So
Like in the positive
yeah.
way or the negative way? Yeah, definitely. Um wrestling, while obviously there was a lot of negative shit that was there, which we might be able to talk about later, that you know about. Um I feel that like for like generally speaking, that's where my love of like the gym and just working out started at,
Mhm. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
because like yeah, because like before that, like ninth grade, that was the worst year of my life. I weighed about the same, and I benched like almost 200 something pounds less. I felt like fucking dog shit, dude.
Mm.
Um, but now, I mean, ever since like the gym, Jesus, my fucking family, it's all been just like so much fucking better, dude.
Yeah, I think I working out and wrestling in particular, wrestling does like did this thing in my brain where, and I might have been this way before, but wrestling like just kind of brought it to the forefront. I just want to win. I just want to win no matter what. I just want to beat everyone at everything, no matter what it takes. I just want to win at
Yeah.
everything, even like no matter how irrelevant of a no pun intended, how irrelevant of a competition it might be, I still just want to win. Just for whatever reason, my psychology's like that, and I think wrestling kind of like invoked it, or kind of like rekindled that fire that I had when I was like a little kid. So, what
Yeah,
about
yeah.
you?
Yeah, like that obviously um it wasn't like okay, I was a very different person obviously when I did wrestling. That's why I'd be more interested to go back and do it now.
Mm,
Because like I mean, obviously I'm in a lot better shape and what, but also like not just shape physically, but also like mentally. Because like back then I was just in a dog shit place mentally, like a lot of just shit going on in my personal life and just all this other stuff. Like
right.
it just, I mean, obviously it was still good because it still gave me like a challenge and stuff like that. Because before that, I hadn't really, because I didn't really play much sports growing up. Well, I mean, I did, but then I got out of it because I just didn't feel like doing that burn, and then those laps. I would just hate all
I
that
was a
shit and
nerd.
all like the stupid shit you had to
Growing up,
do.
I was a nerd. I'm,
Yeah, but I mean, I still kind of am a nerd. But I mean, I don't give a fuck. Like, you
dude,
know,
once a nerd, always a nerd.
fuck yeah, dude. And that's the thing. I'm like, I love Jesus, and if that offends you, like, oh well.
Facts, bro. That's the mentality you gotta have. I think, and especially and with like PC culture, you have to just really not care. about. I mean, I don't want to say you shouldn't care about other people's feelings, but you should really only focus on yourself. I think a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially a lot of people our age, because like we're the same age group. I think a lot of people that are in our same age range kind of perceive the world as like in a different way than we do. I feel like we kind of share some of the same perception, but then there's some people
Yeah.
our age who are just like so just they're so far gone, I guess.
Yeah, no, and I think like a big thing is like people our age, I think, and like this is not like a holier than thou because I never really like to talk about that. But I mean, I have to speak the truth when it is needed. A lot of people our age just they kind of they live in a bubble and like they think linearly even though they think they
Mm,
don't. Um and obviously like this comes from New Orleans culture and I mean and this is very true of any kind of urban environment where you stay in it for a long time and like you never venture out and yeah like I'm a big advocate that you should not stay like in the hometown where you're from at least for like some time especially if it's fucking New Orleans like
yeah, the world is a really
yeah
toxic place, I guess, just because of the culture. Everybody just loves to get drunk, and it's like a really big waste of time. It's
yeah
just a huge waste of time. You know what actually it is? This is I think this is a good way of saying it because you said like they think linearly even though they think they don't. A lot of people
yeah
don't realize the potential that they have. I think that stems from a lack of self-esteem.
yeah it's either like a lack of self-esteem or it could come from arrogance because like they think that like they're already good enough when like they're not
Okay.
you know that's also part of
Yep.
it. Yeah, because a lot of it is just like a lack of like balance, man. Because like there's no like there's certain times where like I'm coming home from work or something like that, or like I'm just at a certain point of my day and I'm like, you know what? I don't need to look at my phone right now, or like I don't need to just have music right now. And that's not I'm not saying that listening to music or looking at your phone is bad, because both of those things can be fucking
Mm,
great, especially music. But like that's like a big thing about like the like America in general now is just like we are so fucking overstimulated. It's like insane.
distracted.
Like yeah, and like with so much bullshit that doesn't even fucking matter. And like I'm sure you fucking talked about this on like your story where you just go on your fucking rants and calling people out, which those are really good. I'm glad I joined that.
Yeah. Well, that's because, dude, you know what's really funny? The night before I posted that on my story, I went out to go eat with my cousin Alexis, her boyfriend, my friend Blaine. So we go to this place called River Shack Tavern. It's right on the Mississippi River. They have really good food. Okay, so we get there,
Mm.
okay, and we walk in, we get our table. Alexis and Alan, that's my cousin and her boyfriend, they were already waiting for us. Me and Blaine showed up. So we get there, and they had ordered something to eat with like some drinks, right? And so me and Blaine sit down, and then the waiter comes. Okay, so the waiter comes, and then I open the menu and I ordered something off the kids menu because I was hungry, but like I didn't have a huge appetite, so
Oh,
I got something off the kids
respect.
menu, and then because it was like $5, and then the
Right.
lady, the waiter goes like, she just like gave me the nastiest attitude. She was like, "Oh, you think waiters are above you? Well, like this?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, like I didn't like what did I even do? I didn't do anything." And I just like, I was like, "What?" That was so weird.
Wait,
And then she started screaming at
she
she literally started screaming at me for no reason. She was like, "Oh, you think you're just better than everyone? You must be like a narcissist." And I was like, I was like,
what?
"Wait, I just ordered food."
Wait, all of this because you ordered from the fucking kids menu?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I must have said.
What the hell,
I'm giving her
man?
the benefit of the doubt. I like, I'm like, maybe I said it in a weird way. I definitely didn't because my cousin, she was like, "Why is she freaking out? You didn't even do anything." And I don't know, but she must have been. I think she was drunk because then later on, my cousin was talking to her and she started crying about something like just opening up about her life problems. I don't know. That was really weird.
Man.
So the next day, I was just on one. Yeah.
Man. But like overall, I mean, I would assume you're fucking doing great, just like I am, right?
Yeah, so I graduated high school in 2020, and since then I started a company at the beginning of this year. Actually, let me just so in, at the beginning of 2021, I launched this investment fund, like pretty much literally just off the back of my Snapchat and like the people.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because it looked really fucking interesting, and I was very curious to ask like what it is that you actually do.
Yeah, so
Can,
so
yeah.
that was an investment fund that I launched. It was called Byzantium Wealth Management, and I pretty much thought of it when I was thinking of ways to like be an entrepreneur, I guess. Because I was in college and I wanted to leave because I hated it. Um, so
Where were
I
you?
was at UNO.
Oh, fuck that.
I was at UNO for like 30 seconds before I dropped out.
Yeah, you're like, bye.
Yeah, so I started that fund because of the whole U.S. stimulus thing. Like they printed so much money that it had to go somewhere. So then I started talking to people on my Snapchat, and then I got on the phone with their parents, and then eventually I talked to police officers. It got so bad at one point that like I pitched this dude that was selling ADT security, like in my neighborhood. I pitched him and I sold him, and he became a part of the fund and house flippers and everything. And so yeah, so in 30 days I scaled it to like 100 grand. And then that's I realized I
Ooh.
was like, okay, I have like this crazy ability to talk to people, and that's when I first realized that. And so that fund, I merged that fund with another fund, which is who is now led by my investment partner, Ali Manviwala. So I merged Byzantium with Manvi Capital, and now I have a hedge fund. It's called Mercury Square, but that doesn't really like take much of my time, right? And so at the
Uh,
beginning of this year, I started another business. It's called the Mississippi Company, and
and then what is that one?
yeah, so basically this firm is engaged in horizontal integration. So basically, in the 1870s, when Rockefeller first launched Standard Oil,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, he first bought his first oil refinery and was like, okay, there's something here. So then he started buying other oil refineries at that same level in the oil refinery process. He'd buy the refineries. That's where he started. That's how Standard Oil grew. So he
Right.
consolidated the industry at that level. He did a horizontal integration. And so I'm trying to do the same thing in trucking. Trucking is a really fragmented industry. It's so fragmented actually that there's half a million trucking companies in the US, and 80% of them have less than 6 trucks.
Wait, like, what do you mean by trucking?
So by trucking companies, I mean basically the companies that transfer consumer goods from one spot to another. Like they get out of port and they bring it somewhere else. The actual trucks,
Oh, like delivery, like kind of truck drivers and stuff like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's fucking cool. Yeah, dude. I mean, I hate to like distract. We can go back to this, but I was doing a bunch of that shit today. I work for a painting company, right?
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So we got jobs in. So like I live in the DC metro area in Manassas, Virginia. We have jobs in like DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia. We got a lot of jobs. And so the delivery guy, it was out today. I had to get up at 3. I had to get to the shop at 4. I had to leave the shop at like 4:15, and I had to get to a job site at like
Damn, that
5.
sounds hectic.
And then from there, yeah, and so then I had to make deliveries to DC, Arlington, Alexandria, all around from like 4 to 12 essentially.
So was it
Yeah.
like what type of deliveries were you doing? They let you drive it like an 18 wheeler?
No, I'm not. No, so we don't have any of those.
Okay.
I just drive like a big ass F-150.
Oh, okay.
You know, so it's not a trucking company, obviously, like you were talking about, where that's what their service
Right.
is. But we have like a bunch of trucks we can use. So like if this guy needs like let's say like 50 gallons of paint, I can go give it to him. Or if he needs like a spray machine or just any sort of things he needs, me or another guy can just go give it to him and send it to the job site in our trucks.
That's really nice. I have a market for that. What's the DC area like? I hear there's a lot of cybersecurity firms over there.
No, yeah. So the thing about the DC metro area, like in Northern Virginia and in like that Maryland kind of area,
Hmm.
is that there's a fuck ton of government money. I think the county I live in, it's Prince William. It is in the top 30 counties for like income in the country, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, bro,
I didn't even
do
realize.
business with
Yeah.
the government. They'll pay you $100 for a toilet seat. They'll pay you like $1,000 for a doorknob. I mean, it's
Yeah. No, and like even if you're like working class, you can make a good fucking amount of money. Like the construction here is really fucking good. They're not stingy. They're like they're considerate. Like the company I work for, like they're really good people. They like I like it started from like a good place. They got a good heart. Everyone there is like really like Christian, which is obviously a positive for
Mhm.
me. And I get to, in my job, I have a good mix of like blue collar and white collar stuff. So I got to make deliveries and stuff like that. I got to fix spray machines. I got to move paint buckets around, rearrange the warehouse. But then I also got to do a bunch of like paper and stuff like that and like office stuff. So I got to keep track of inventory and then I have to make lists of things and I got to see the schedules and like do I got to do a
How
bunch of
do you
stuff, dude. And I have a really good fucking gig. The pay's good. I'm really
how do
happy.
you keep up with all that? That sounds like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, I am really occupied. I wouldn't say busy cuz like I mean, busy means like that implies that you're just doing a bunch of shit that is like meaningless and then you're just like, "Oh, this is so stupid." But I feel like all the stuff I'm doing like this is valuable, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Where did your relationship with God stem from? So I'm Christian also, so I'm just wondering. Because like,
Yeah,
yeah,
so basically obviously so like when you grow up in like New Orleans is an example of like I mean it's nominally Catholic, but at this point like there's fucking nothing there that's Catholic
yeah,
anymore. I mean obviously there's gonna be pockets, um, but for the most part, a lot of it is just it's continuous secularization. No one gives a shit anymore. The whole city has just gone to shit. Obviously, you know.
yep,
Um, yeah, but obviously coming from that area I mean, like everyone who goes to Catholic school in New Orleans, and keep in mind, a lot of people do. They just have that bias against the church, which is constantly just it's just spoon fed to them that like Catholicism is evil, that like these priests are just gonna fucking molest you. Which yes, I do acknowledge. Yeah, there's really creepy fucking depraved weirdos that become priests, but also like I started to realize how like all these people that are like telling me all this shit they weren't like ever going to point out any of like the good
right.
shit that the church does, which there's a lot of, and they're never going to
Uh,
like and then like these people they say they tolerate everything, but then it's like if you tolerate everything, then why don't you tolerate the Catholic Church? And so it basically it was a process, and it took a little time for me to come to this kind of reason, but I was essentially like and I mentioned this on the podcast with Jason before when he asked me. It was essentially in my religion class up here in Virginia because I went to an uber Catholic school here. Like if you thought Jesuit was a Catholic school and you came to the school I went to, you'd be like, oh shit, Jesuits like not even fucking Catholic. It's like a joke. No, but I'll get to that
okay.
later. Um, yeah, so the school I went to, we went to mass every day, and I'm so thankful to God that we did do that. Um, because no, like, dude, it I started to like fast in the morning, and I just didn't have like shit like pumped through my brain
Mhm.
constantly, and we just went to mass and we just sang all the time and just prayed. I felt like I was on fucking drugs. Like it was awesome. I was like,
Where did
how can nobody see that like this is awesome? Because it's like we see all of these like Eastern religions and we go, whoa, so cool. And it's like, yeah, they are, but at the same time, like you don't realize that the like Christianity was fucking awesome. Like just the West is
The West
constantly
cannibalized
trying
it.
to do everything in their power to just fucking destroy it. And it's like, what do you guys expect? Like this is our culture, and it's like,
Yeah, the West did cannibalize. West
yeah,
cannibalized Catholicism really badly. Uh,
yeah.
so wait, so do you read the Bible?
Well, I mean, I'm guilty of not reading it as much as I should. Obviously, like, because this and it comes to a lot of kind of other things. I keep I always kind of tell myself like, oh, I know a lot of the verses, but it's like I should go back and do it. I have a copy of the Torah, which is just the first 5 books of the
Mm-hmm.
Bible. Um, and I really want to do that because I want to learn more Hebrew. Um, but do you read the Bible?
So I've read the Bible. I mean, a lot of people have read the Bible. So, but
Yeah, yeah.
I try to read a lot of the holy books. Like I've read the Quran too. So I've read like a lot. I've read the Bhagavad Gita, which is like a book.
Okay.
I mean, I try to read them all just because I think you can't characterize God that way. But what I want to ask you is which testament of the Bible do you prefer? Everyone has a favorite. Which one do you prefer? You like the New Testament or the Old Testament?
Like old or the new?
Yeah, I like the New Testament.
Um, well, I mean, that's very difficult to answer because they're both part of the canon and they're both equally important.
Right.
Um, well, and that's the thing. They're hard to compare because the Old Testament is like 60% bigger than the New Testament. And also, like, I mean, it's just I just don't think I can give a definitive answer about that. I mean, I guess I would say that I prefer the New Testament because it has the Gospels in it, but um, just the Old Testament and all that stuff, and just like reading through the history of the Hebrews and like the Israelites and like the people of God and just all the shit that happened, like it's epic.
Yeah, it is.
So like in that sense, I guess yeah, no, right. And in that sense, I guess I would prefer the Old Testament. I just haven't read enough of it thoroughly to give you an answer on that, if that makes sense. Even though I should read
It
it.
does. That's how I feel about the I think that's like the reason why I'm really familiar with the story of King Solomon in particular. That's the one that I really that one in Proverbs. Like I sound so cliche right now, but still, it's
Oh no, I don't give a shit, dude.
like the way that God's described. It's like it's in two different it's two different ways because in the Old Testament, God is not like human yet, right? And in the New Testament,
Right,
God is
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
So it's I'm not really that familiar with the Gospels to be honest with you, even though I have to
Okay.
read them like as an adult. I have to read them like as a man. I will have to read them because I'm familiar with them like from a childish perspective. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I can definitely tell you I am much more familiar with the gospel, obviously, because um it's like obviously, like at mass, that's like the I mean, other than the Eucharist, the gospel is like the second most important thing, and that's like the second biggest focus. So I'm gonna pay more attention to that. But also like in the Latin mass, which I'm trying to go to more, you don't really have the readings. Um I mean like I know in some contexts you do, but then if you don't, they're in Latin, and it's really fucking cool because you feel like you're just reading this like actually like this divinely inspired thing as opposed to just hearing it in like English when it just
Doesn't hit,
it numbs you and you're just like
doesn't
whatever, it's
hit the
just
same.
some fucking bullshit. Yeah.
Doesn't hit the same at all. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Also, I really want to read not just the Gospels completely. I want to read them in fucking Greek. That shit is fucking awesome. I have like the Gospel of John is really. I think it's the most mysterious. I think it's the most it's the most different than the other. It's the most distinct. It's different than the other three. And also it has the badass fucking opening like in archino logos kaino logos protonteon. Like in the beginning there was the word. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm ready for this.
Yeah. In the beginning, there was the word.
Yeah, and like you know the word logos, which is what we translate it as word, but it's such a fucking ambiguous word. There's been debates about like what it means, and honestly, that because like a lot of like agnostics or atheists or like secular people would look at that ambiguous translation and be like, oh well, like you can't prove definitively what it means, and I'm like, so
Yeah,
like the fact that yeah, no, I'm like the fact that you can't, like it has something more to it, you know?
yeah. I
Yeah.
have some Muslim friends that like we get into the whole like, oh, the Quran hasn't been translated before. It's only written this certain way, so it's I don't know. I, like that debate is like a rabbit hole. The debate's a rabbit hole, man. You don't want to get
Really? Yeah. Well, I mean, I see where they're coming from because as a Muslim, I know you are not allowed to read the Quran. I mean, I think you can see a translation if needed, but like you have to read it in Arabic at least, you know.
Yep, that's true.
Because yeah, because like they're like that's the way Muhammad heard it. So therefore, like when you hear the way Muhammad heard it, that's the truest form. And I have mad respect for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
Same here. Same here.
yeah, because like obviously like we were talking about like in the West and stuff like that, that would be like that idea would just be fucking like
It wouldn't exist.
what?
It
We'd be
wouldn't
like,
exist.
yes,
You know what?
exactly. And I'm like,
Nobody has respect for God in the West, unfortunately, even though that doesn't make any sense by definition. It makes no sense,
I know exactly. I'm just, and also it's just like how the fuck could you like have no respect for something that doesn't even fucking exist? Like you if it doesn't exist, then why do you give a shit?
right? Right? I,
I
I
know
mean,
it's
I think it's personal a little bit. I'm not really sure. I can't really comment on it because I believe in God. So,
right, right. I mean, for some people, I know that is the case. Some people I know like are kind of just like, you know what? There's a lot of fucking different religions. I don't know what is true, and that I accept 10 times more than someone who's like, all religions are the fucking same. Like that, I will go off on you.
yeah. What do you think the name of God is? Adonai? Elohim?
the name, the name of God.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about like the Hebrew culture and traditions and on
You
that
talking about
stuff?
the Tetragrammaton?
I don't know.
It's a four-letter word, right? It can't be spoken.
Oh, that
Yeah.
one. Um, that no, I think it's like you can't write it.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay, so I know there's different names of God in different contexts. So Adonai means Lord. Um, Hashem means God in like the general sense. And then I know Jehovah is wait, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I think
Wait, I don't remember
Jehovah's the
what Jehovah was. Yahweh means like I am who
yeah,
am.
Yahweh.
Yeah, meaning like God's essence is literally just essence. You know, like his being is being.
What what a
So that's
what
what
a
that means.
beautiful word that is, Yahweh.
I know. Yeah, no, the names of God are they're fucking awesome. And also the other one I know is Elohim, which actually well, I mean, it is, I am not a practicing Jew, so it doesn't apply to me. I'm sorry if that like offended you, but you can only say it like that if you're praying. If you are not, you have to say Elohim. I know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I mean, I don't know. People call me Jewish because of my nose, the whole business thing. But
Dude, people. Oh, I mean, okay. I yeah, that's funny though, because like I am actually partially Jewish, and my brother has like a really extensive knowledge of this shit. So I know a lot of it from him. Also like my sister is really fucking into it.
mm,
Um, yeah, I think it's
what
cool. Obviously, it's not the fullness of the truth, so that's why I remain Catholic. But it's I just have the Judaism as like, oh, it's a cool heritage thing, and it's cool to learn from time to time. But it's not like, the ultimate ends.
what is a Jewish culture like? I know, like, it's like as a Jew, you're like so like you're really special, right? Would you agree? I'm
Yeah,
like,
well,
I've noticed like for some reason, like Jew is like the most successful. Like it's like they're always the most successful person, like in a room ever. And I'm like, oh my god, like you're so cool.
yeah.
Like how do I be more like you? You know?
I know, right? Well, okay, so yeah, that's the thing. Um, Obviously, like, there's multiple different kinds of Jewish
Right,
ethnicities. The one that we think of most in America are the Ashkenazi
right.
Jews. Those are people like Adam Sandler, Jerry Seinfeld, um, Jeff Goldblum, and people like that. Um, the Ashkenazi Jews, they actually have the highest IQ of any ethnicity ever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Oh yeah. Also, Einstein was Ashkenazi Jewish. So yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, well, and also the other main types of Jews are the Sephardic Jews. Those are the Jews from Spain and Portugal
Oh,
originally.
okay.
Like, I know Ben Shapiro is Sephardic Jewish. Um, Sorry, I didn't mention the Ashkenazi Jews. I know come from Eastern Europe
Right. They're like,
and part of Germany as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also, and I know the third
It's acidic, right?
main kind of Jew, or the well, no, Hasidic is a form of practice
Oh,
that's different than like like the ethnicity and like where you come from. So the other main one is the Mizrahi Jews.
oh,
Those are the Jews that come from the Middle
oh,
East. So like the Jews that are in like Saudi Arabia or like Morocco, Iraq, all that stuff.
yeah. I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing, definitely.
Oh, it is. No, and like that's why like well yeah, because like they are the chosen people of God. Like there's no denying that.
Yeah.
And and that's what makes it so interesting. But that's why I mean that's why that the Sanhedrin didn't accept Jesus. Well, for multiple reasons. One of them was the fact that um I mean obviously he was claiming to be the son of God and stuff like that. And it's not just because it was like he was saying that and no one else was like there had been tons of false prophets before him and all these uprisings. That's why like I kind of understand where the Sanhedrin's coming from. They're like, what is this guy like he's been doing a bunch of like this shit that like a bunch of other people are doing, claiming that they're like these people and stuff like that. And like there had been other people that claimed to be the Messiah when they clearly
Right.
weren't. So like they were just kind of like, we don't know. Let's just like I don't want to take a chance. Like we don't know if he is like. And also they didn't like how he was trying to befriend the Romans and like spreading the message obviously of like loving one another and stuff like that, and how fighting with the Romans won't fix anything.
And one
Um,
another. Yeah.
yeah. But also it's interesting because a lot of modern Judaism is, I mean, it's very different, obviously, than how it was practiced 2,000 years ago. But certain like Ben Shapiro would kind of say that like Christianity to them is kind of like it's like a weird distortion of Judaism and stuff like
Oh,
that.
really?
Because kind of, yeah, because like this is like what my brother was explaining to me. Because he says that his Jewish friends tell him that the modern mission of Judaism is to like bring godliness to the world. So they don't think that salvation is just for the Jews. That's kind of a Christian misconception. But they think that like not that God only cares about the Jews, but they think God cares about the Jews more, obviously, because they're like literally his chosen
Yeah.
people. And like that's where all of this stuff started
Yep.
from. So obviously, yes. But obviously the Christian view and the view I hold is that like all peoples are
Yeah.
equal. Obviously, you do need to take into account that the Jewish people are the center, and like that's where all of this stuff started from, and that's who Jesus was, because Jesus was he was a human just like I am, just like you are, just like anyone who has ever been a human was, and every single human has like a people and a culture and like an ethnicity that they belong to. And that's why it's so fascinating for me like all this Jewish stuff, because that's what Jesus's culture
Yeah.
was. And
Same. Me too.
I
Me too, dude.
yeah.
And then like, so when you
Yeah.
look at languages, because you're like kind of a language buff also, right? I like languages like you
Oh
probably
yeah.
practice
Yeah.
way more than me. I only know English and Spanish, and then like I've dabbled in Arabic and like I've dabbled in a lot of stuff, but like I haven't gone like down. I really want to learn Arabic and Mandarin. But when you look at Hebrew as
Yeah.
a language,
Uh-huh.
Hebrew has a really interesting alphabet that doesn't resemble anything, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you actually study the alphabet and you study like other Semitic alphabets, like you said, Arabic is one of those because they're related. Same with the Aramaic alphabet and the Ethiopian alphabet. You can see certain letters that look similar, like the letter that represents the M sound, like the box looking thing in Hebrew. It looks similar in Arabic. I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah. Well, but obviously, like you said, it does look really fucking distinct from Arabic. Like you can see both, and you know, like, oh, that's Hebrew, that's Arabic. But like, yeah, like you said, it doesn't look like fucking anything
like,
else. Like you just feel that, yeah.
it looks very yeah, I mean, I don't know what the word would be. It looks very godly.
Yeah, exactly. It looks very godly. And I was listening to Joe Rogan talk about this, how he was looking at the Hebrew alphabet, and he said, like, if I saw that shit on DMT, I would think that that was like an alien fucking language.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I know.
I know, right? Yeah. Oh, have you done any like modern Hebrew or anything like that?
No, I haven't. I haven't at all.
Okay. I did some of that. It's pretty cool. I was actually very happy with the progress I was making. But unfortunately, I got my new job and like my schedule was different and my teach so like I work Monday through Friday, no weekends,
Hmm.
and my teacher doesn't work on Friday.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry, on
You didn't
Saturday.
have the time.
I do it. Wait,
You
what
didn't
was
have the
that?
time.
Um I mean, I could get another teacher, but I just don't know if I want to because I was making so much progress with that teacher I already had. I just don't know if I would want to go back and start with like another teacher.
I've heard some people. So I know a polyglot, right? Who, yeah, he knows. Currently knows 17 languages, which is like it's an insane. I have like how I can't even fathom that. How you can speak in that.
But does he like proficiently know 17 languages and he can read, write, speak, and like understand all of those languages at like a high level?
You're not gonna believe it. You're not gonna believe me if I say yes. So I'm just gonna connect you with him. But yes.
Well, I do believe you because obviously there are people that are like there's rare people like that can have these insane skills.
Uh,
A lot of people a lot of people can't do that obviously because
yeah.
it's very hard to be proficient in two languages as it is.
Mhm.
Um like I said, by being proficient, I mean like you can do almost like every kind of how would I say, you can do kind of any utility in your life in that
Right.
language. So like you can read it, write it, you could communicate with people, you can use it in your job, you could like watch series and like movies, you could read novels in that language, you could read poetry in that language, you could write like a sign. You know, because there's billions of different fucking things you could do with a language. It's so fascinating.
Yeah. So what's your end game right now for like the languages you want to learn? So because for me, I like it's like purely commercial. With Arabic and Mandarin, it's just like they're two really huge. I think they're going to be really big economies in 20 years. So that's why I want to learn those. But then, like for you, I know you Portuguese, right? It's Portuguese, and what else?
Well, so I speak, I would say, three languages at a very high level. Obviously, English, I mean, that doesn't count. That's my native language. My Spanish is really fucking good. I mean, if you wanted to do a podcast in Spanish, I could do it with you. Um,
For the Spanish audience, the Hispanics.
yeah, I did a podcast in Spanish with Carlos, if you remember him. Or actually, no, you didn't go to Holy Name. Never mind.
Yeah, I grew up on the West Bank.
Yeah. We could talk about that in a second. Well, you were asking me about my language goal.
Yeah.
So I was doing Portuguese, which I'm still doing, but it's essentially like my class is just I just have a conversation with my teacher because I mean, I yeah, that's all the classes, and it's still really fun because over here there's not a lot of like people that speak Brazilian Portuguese. Um, there's like continental Portuguese speaking peoples, but I can't really understand them that well because the accent is so fucking different. It's not even funny.
Damn.
Uh,
They have some
yeah,
things
but
like that. Yeah, I think Arabic's like that also.
oh yeah, Arabic, like a speaker from Morocco could not fucking understand a person from like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's another thing that makes Arabic really fucking hard is that there's a lot. and a lot of like dialects and regional colloquial
Mm,
things and stuff like that. Obviously, I know there's a modern standard Arabic that the countries use in like in like negotiations and stuff like that and meetings and stuff like that. But I know when the countries are amongst themselves, they speak quite differently. I know the people that are actually in the continental like Western Asia, like they kind of have their one thing it's obviously more similar. I know because like on Glossica, which is this really good language app, I would recommend to a lot of people, even though you have to pay for it, but that's whatever. Um, you can do a course on like the kind of Saudi Arabia, like the Saudi slash Syrian slash like Jordanian that area kind of Arabic, and then you can do one which they kind of just label as just Arabic in the general sense.
mm,
Then you can also study Moroccan, and then you could study Egyptian. Those are like what they claim to be like the three biggest, kind of most distinct varieties.
yeah.
Yeah,
Cause
but
yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry. You go
No,
ahead.
I was gonna say, I was just gonna finish up on that topic where, cause I had, I have these two friends, right? One is from Syria, right, who emigrated here, and another one is from Algeria, and he emigrated here. And when they speak Arabic, that Arabic is their first language. It's primary language.
Right.
So like when they speak it, it just sounds like really different. It doesn't sound the same at all. Like they still can talk with each other, but then like one will say like one thing, and then like the other one won't know what it means, and then like it'll be,
Oh, like you've heard like them try to speak to each other.
yeah, they understand each
Oh
other for the
man, that's
most part. They
cool.
understand each other for the most part, but it sounds really different. It sounds like two different languages, even though it's but like
Oh
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's like hearing some dude in like fucking I don't know like where like in fucking Texas trying to communicate with like a dude in Scotland. Like it's not gonna happen. You know what
Texas,
I'm saying?
Scott,
Yeah. And like
yeah.
yeah. Oh, but so I was doing I'm sorry, I'm going back to like the language
Oh,
stuff, like the plans. The main things I was studying on italki, which is another fucking fantastic freelance language service I like to use. I was doing Vietnamese and Hebrew.
oh,
Vietnamese was so goddamn ass fucking hard. I wanted to die. Because that was my first venture into an Asian language and also a tonal language, which like the tones I can hit them by themselves, but like when you get a long ass sentence, and here's the other thing, in Vietnamese, the words only can have one fucking syllable. If it has two syllables, it's like it's a compound word, so it's gonna combine like two different ideas, right? So that's why like Vietnamese sounds really funny to us.
mm,
Like I'm trying to think of a sentence. Um, like the word like I like meat is what would it be? It'd be like thick meat. Wait, no. Wait, what the fuck is meat? Oh, yeah. So it's thick bit. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So that's interesting. You brought
So
up tones because in English, and like I know from like so I'm pretty much like a salesman, right? And with like trying to persuade people to see things my way. And so like whenever you're like trying to communicate anything, a lot of people don't know this. I think you're probably familiar with it because you study languages, but verbal communication is like only a small fraction of actually like words that you say is like a very small fraction of what you use to convey meaning. A lot of times most of the meaning that you're like that you convey to other people comes from your tone of voice. You can infer microagreements, you can do like a bunch of things using like hidden cues with like your I don't know. I mean it's just like a lot of stuff.
oh no. Yeah, you're right. There's a very specific science to like convey a certain tone you want to convey and try to like because when you're having a conversation, and you have you're gonna have questions and you're gonna have statements and you're like obviously you tone a question differently, and it's like it'll be a question that could be adamant, it could be like oh yeah, do you do this, or do you do this, like you can
Yeah,
you can like
it's
tone it
true.
differently and stuff like that, and a lot of your expression does come from that, and that's what was so fucking weird and just so bizarre to me when I studied Vietnamese is just because like when you lose that that tone indicates the actual like mood of something,
Wow.
as opposed to it literally conveys fucking the meaning of a word.
Mhm.
I was so weird, and I'm like, wait, so then how am I supposed to like express that like I'm fucking this emotion when the tone is this? It's so weird.
Yeah, I know, dude.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy with like how deep, how really complex communication is, even though it's
hmm
seemingly super simple on a surface level. But I think a lot
yeah.
of things are like that. Just the world of knowledge out there is really really Do you think knowledge is power?
I mean, in what way?
Well, we'd have to define power.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, like, knowledge is really fucking important. Like, you see that on like the seal of this high school I went to, the Holy Family, like the Catholic high
Mhm.
school. One of the words it uses on the seal is sapiencia, which in Latin means knowledge. Or no, no, actually, no. I think sapiencia means wisdom, and then um, I want to say conciencia means knowledge. Obviously, your knowledge, which like in Spanish, that's conocimiento, I think. Um, that like when you have a good ass like perspective and like a good ass education, you can see how all of the shit like feeds into one another. So like that's why like like, when we're in school, we're always like, "Oh, why do we have to learn this? Like why am I learning this fucking stupid math
Yeah.
thing? I'm not even going to go into math." And it's like, "No, no, no, like just learn it, suck it up." And it's like you can see how all of this shit feeds into one another because like everything's fucking connected, you know?
Yeah, it really is. It's so funny how everything works that way. And
Yeah, yeah, and then it's like all of these like it'll help you in some random skills. Like obviously me and you have like the benefit of being computer literate, so like we could use Excel, we can print shit out, we know how to do all this shit that like there's still a lot of people that don't even know how to do that.
that's true. That's a very good.
Yeah.
There is some people. There's a certain type of person it's called a polymath. Are you familiar with those type of people?
Um no, what is that
So
again? I think I've heard of the term. I don't know
you
exactly what it
probably
means.
have. It's just like a type of person that uses certain fields of studies in awkward and not awkward ways, but they're basically super proficient in more than one field of study. So Aristotle would be like an example of a polymath. He's like famous
Oh
polymath
yeah.
where he knows like a lot about a lot of subjects, and he can like cross pollinate his knowledge with each subject to discover deeper insight. So like an example would be somebody who is like an artist, somebody who's really good at music, like a Mozart type, who's like really good at music. He understands
Right.
music very intuitively. He can apply his knowledge of music to like maybe drawing if you want to keep it like in art, or he can apply his knowledge of music to science to discover deeper insight, which is like they're two totally unrelated fields, but just because we're like,
Well, at surface level they seem unrelated even though they are related.
yeah, yeah,
No, I mean it's honestly like you were saying, you're seeing these two things that like on the surface level they seem like they're not even anything alike. It's like English and Persian are related to each other. Obviously, you don't even you're like, wait, are you
yeah,
fucking serious? That's like that's not a joke. But like English and Persian are both Indo-European languages, and when you study, oh, well, here's the other thing, like any language that's Indo-European, it's like automatically going to be easier to study than any other language, right? So because it just has that base, and you can see how the grammar and like all of this stuff, you can see it in these subtle ways in these other languages.
mhm,
And obviously like the vocab too and the cognates, a lot of these words that like on at first glance they don't look like they're related, but like when you actually see like there's certain consonant shifts that happen, you're like, oh shit. Like, the word for heart in Latin is cordis, you know? Yeah, it's where like corazon comes from. That is actually a cognate from with heart because the T, what used to be a D, and the H used to be like a ha sound, which came from k.
uh,
So like that's why it was like heart. That you could see how that shifts, and it's like what the fuck? That's so cool. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah, because you can. That happened over such a long time span. Humans are an interesting. Humans
Yeah.
are definitely an interesting animal. They're a very unique type of species.
Yeah, and obviously like that's like, do you know G.K. Chesterton?
I do not. I'm not familiar with them.
So he's kind of like a C.S. Lewis type, where like he was like a British kind of like he was like an author, and he wrote a lot of kind of Christian themed stories and poems and writings. I think I forgot in which text he wrote it. It might have been in his one called The Everlasting Man. He said then again, like I just said, I don't know if it was in that one specifically, but that doesn't matter. It was that um mankind is the most interesting animal, and or no, it was like humans like are the most interesting animal, and Jesus is the most interesting human. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah. I was like, yeah,
that's pretty
that's
deep.
really
That's
fucking
pretty
true.
deep, man.
Yeah, and also like for anyone who would like argue with me about how like there's like, oh dude, like you're being arrogant. Like how like you think like humans are better than all these animals, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's like how like look at this conversation that we're like fucking having right now. Could a like a fucking monkey come here and like have any idea what is going on? No. Will he ever be able to? No.
I think the biggest thing that differentiates Homo sapien from everything else is our ability to create things.
Yeah, because as humans, we have like Joe Rogan talked about this again, um, how we have like a desire as humans to create things and to like build things up and make things strong, and how when you lose that in your life and like when humans are not doing anything, that's when we get bored, and that's when we get pissed, and that's when we get fucking angry, and that's when we fucking hate each other, you know? And a lot of that is like what modern life is.
Yeah. Are you? Do you like history a lot?
Oh fuck yes, dude.
Who's your favorite historical figure that like you look up to, you feel connected to them?
Oh man. I mean that's
Well, you
so
can
fucking
pick a couple.
hard.
Just pick a couple. You can get down
Well, so if you're going off, I mean Aristotle is obviously that's got to be up there.
mm,
Also, I'm trying to think. I should get into more of Confucius cuz he's fucking awesome as well.
Confucius.
Yeah, Confucius, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, okay. Also, I really love what's his name? Saint Peter's really awesome.
Saint Peter. Damn. All right.
Yes,
You're throwing in some
and
sleeper
Saint
picks right
Paul,
now.
dude. Saint Paul is so fucking like like I can't like Saint Paul. It doesn't matter if you're like Catholic, Christian or not. Like whatever. Like Saint Paul is like one of the he's in the top 10 most important humans to like ever exist. He's like one of the most consequential humans to ever exist because he did like he spread Christianity throughout like the entire Mediterranean and like the Near East.
Paul was responsible for that.
Oh yeah, because like I mean, Peter did it in the West. He went to Rome and he obviously started the papacy there, but Paul kind of did. He kind of instigated all of like this like Greek Eastern Christianity, which obviously
Okay.
it broke off like we learned in sophomore year in 1054. Which some of those Orthodox churches are actually still Catholic, but a lot of them aren't, and a lot of that is like I hate to get off track. We can talk about them in a second. I'm trying to think of other people that are like really fucking cool. Um, oh, Pedro the Second of Brazil. He's fucking awesome.
The
You know
second
him?
of Brazil, dude. You're throwing out some sleeper picks right now. Damn, I did not know. I okay. Aristotle to
Yeah.
me.
Wait. Who do you got?
I was gonna. Well, for me, like, all right. So for me, this is like kind of a personal topic because so growing up, like, I didn't have like a male figure. Like, my dad was in my life when I was like a little kid, which we have a good relationship now, and I love my dad. So I reconcile.
Right. Okay. That's
But
excellent. Yeah.
like growing up, I was like a lonely little boy, like looking for like a male figure I could look up to and emulate. And I had my mom, which like obviously I love my mom. She's the kindest soul ever. But like she
Mm.
wasn't like that man, like little boy, like oh I want to look up to a man. So I just like trying history
Yeah.
because I've
No.
been in
Yeah.
Catholic school yeah, I've been in Catholic school my whole life, like private school. So I was like blessed. My mom and her infinite wisdom always gave me a good education. So I was lucky. I got
Same here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I got a good history teachers, and like I got sucked into this wormhole of like people like Alexander, Napoleon, Rockefeller, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Charlemagne, like all these guys.
Charlemagne is fucking awesome. Yeah, no, it's like so you said all those guys you just mentioned, those guys are like your favorite fucking picks?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I'm one of them, honestly. I probably was Alexander in a past life. I'm not.
Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
He is also like if we're gonna talk about like not necessarily our favorites, but like consequential and like most famous people to ever live, he's definitely like he's got to be at least in the top 20.
Yeah. I mean, you just okay, not what confuses me, but what interests me about these types of people is like what type of psyche, what type of psychology did they have to
Right.
make them be who they are?
Yeah, yeah, and it's like what was their drive? Like what else was going on in their life? It's like that made them do these fucking insane, amazing, great like things that have just like that have had their consequence, whether it's good or bad, throughout entire history today. It's so fascinating to think
Who do you
about.
think is number one most consequential? Jesus?
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna. Is Muhammad number
I mean,
two?
who?
Muhammad?
Well, okay. So sorry. I'll get to that in a second. Jesus. I mean, I didn't mention him earlier just because I mean that's a given. Like he is number one. It can't be anyone else. Um, for my favorite and also, like most consequential. But also the second most consequential person. No, after Jesus, I would probably say. Well, okay, that's when it gets tricky because when obviously like Jesus needs to be number
Mm-hmm.
one. I like obviously as a Catholic who's a believer that like in like the oneness and the trueness and the beautifulness and the goodness of the Catholic faith. I would say that obviously like it's number one's Jesus, number two is Mary, which I no actually you
Oh,
know what I'm gonna go ahead and still say that Mary is the second most consequential and important human being to ever exist. So as wait what's up?
no, I didn't say anything.
Oh, so I'm fucking never mind.
Okay, so we got
So
Jesus.
after wait, sorry, you cut out again.
We got Jesus, Mary, and then who's next?
So I'm actually gonna go because I think with that, obviously that does give reign to the apostles. But so after that, I mean, obviously I would say a bunch of like of these biblical figures, but I'm gonna try to vary it and mix it up. After them, um, hmm, probably like Moses, even though I know I just said I was gonna leave out the biblical
Yeah.
figures, but I mean, you gotta give the fucking credit where credit is due.
Mhm.
So like him,
That's a good point,
and then
dude,
after
because there would have never been Jesus without Moses. Damn.
no, exactly, yeah, because no, Moses was the first prophet.
Yeah.
That's what people don't
I didn't think about it
realize.
like that. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, no, so like, yeah, exactly. Like all of these other prophets you hear about, like Malachi, Ezekiel, all these people, like none of them were like Moses started all that, and after that there was all the prophets, and it goes from Moses all the way to John the Baptist. He was the last prophet, and so like there's this like prophetic line, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
It's yeah, and like also, so if I'm gonna go to other stuff,
So does Aristotle crack the
yeah,
top five? I mean, like Aristotle is like the
he
father of like school. Kind.
yeah, he's like the father of school and like Western ideals.
Yeah, which is like a huge part of the world.
Well, yeah, yeah, well, like the OG, like pre-Christian Western world.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have to mention Julius Caesar at some point in this,
Uh-huh.
because I mean, obviously, like not necessarily consequential, but just like famous. Like everyone fucking knows who Julio Cesar is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like also, you gotta mention like Genghis Khan because I think like 10% of the fucking Mongolian population is like related to him. It's
Is
insane.
Genghis Khan really consequential though? Like I like a
Um,
lot of these conquerors, but like Genghis Khan is the one who like had the most land. He built the biggest empire, but he didn't really like leave that much of a mark on history right? Or like, am I wrong? And I'm just like just
Well, I mean, I don't know as much about that part of history as much as I do other parts. So like I couldn't give like a conclusive answer to that, but I mean obviously he is fucking consequential in the Eastern world.
yeah,
Um but and then obviously like you said, Muhammad, he has to be on there too. um Buddha, he's got to be on
yeah,
there.
Buddha. I get obsessed with this. I get obsessed with like this leaderboard, like this ranking, because I want to.
Yeah, no, yes. Yeah, cuz I fucking love rankings and shit, dude.
Yeah, like I want to go on there, bro. I feel like think about how many people you can inspire to be like great versions of themselves just by ending up on this leaderboard right here. Like think about how many people Aristotle has inspired. Think about how many people Jesus inspired,
Yeah.
like a countless amount, right? Almost the entire population of Earth
Yeah.
and the entire population that like since pretty much he was born and died, obviously. Like I mean, yeah,
Yeah, no,
like
exactly cuz like the fact that we're still talking about all this shit that happened thousands of years ago, like that's proof already,
right. Do you have any aspirations like that where you want to end up like being like super great like that?
No, not really. I mean, if it ends up happening, so be it. That'd be awesome.
Hmm.
But I'm kind of happy with like I'm just kind of I am Catholic and like I'm doing my best I can to be devout. Whatever comes my way, I'll deal with it. Hopefully, I can just live financially stable because like a lot of people have this idea like, oh, I'm not famous and like and like rich, therefore like I'm not happy, and like
Right.
I can only be happy if I have those things. So like obviously like if you have a really good talent, I wouldn't discard you from like, like if you're like, I want to be in the fucking NFL. But the other thing you have to take into account is that like if you don't get in, it's really not that bad because it's like literally only, I don't even know what the percentage is of like college students that go to play in the NFL. Well, actually no, look at it this way. This is how my dad told me. He was like, "Will, look at like a playground from like New Orleans of a bunch of like little kids playing, like let's say like 100 kids that are playing football.
Mhm.
Maybe one of them will go to the NFL, like maybe one of them." So, um, I mean, obviously, if you could be that maybe one person, yeah, no, that I mean, yeah, if you feel like you're meant to do it, go fucking do it. But for like the average person, it's probably like it's probably not gonna
Yeah.
happen. And obviously, that doesn't mean, like I said, that doesn't mean that you can't be happy and you can't find a lot of fucking
Fulfill.
fulfillment in whatever you do.
Right.
But yeah, that's basically how I put it. And I'm very happy with where I'm at right now. Obviously, that doesn't mean I'm gonna keep trying to challenge myself and then I'm gonna just deal with the shit that comes my way. But I am still very fucking happy where I'm at.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's partially what life is about. I mean, honest, like, okay, honestly, that is what life is about. Like any sense of like, I'm dying here, Jesus. Any sense of like wanting to desire greatness stems from selfish reasons, like from like clinging onto the
Right.
material
Yeah.
world. Well, ultimately, the material world doesn't even exist. Like what the me that I am is like the me that I was a second ago when I said that. So like everything is really
Yeah. No.
transitory.
Yeah.
Everything's purely transitory. I think for me, I think I'm sick. I have an ego sickness. I'm sick in the head. And like I just like really like for example, like with my company I'm building right now, I see the Mississippi company as a stepping stone to like later things, like later in my future. And I get like this really weird feeling in my gut where like when I'm not working on my business, I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. Like I really should like be trying to do something right now. And it just like leads me
Yeah.
70 to like 100 hours a week. And like I'm always fucking exhausted. Like I can barely see my girlfriend. And so like that's who I am. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's divine purpose. I don't know. I like because I don't really know. I don't really know because like I'm not doing it to be happy because I'm happy right now. Like I'm happy that I have the chance to do this. Or
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, what I see of this is like, I mean, you still find time to do this like that we're doing right now, and that's fucking awesome. And you could still do all of that good, like valuable work, you know?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I don't know. I like some people, I think like a lot of what you mentioned, you brought up this mindset where like I can't be happy unless I'm famous, unless I'm rich. A lot of people that suffer from that mindset are well like okay, I think well I can't really say most Americans are like that, but I think most Americans are like that
A good bit.
just because of like capitalism, which that's not a bad thing, right? Because it fosters
It's the abuse of it.
right. And then yeah, I think a lot of people get derailed. I think oh okay, this is what I want to say. A lot of people that feel that way will never make it. I think they'll never make it.
Oh yeah, no, well, it all stems from just a lack of Christ, you know, and because like when you don't have a Christ-centered life anymore, that's like when you go, that's when you start go looking at porn. That's when you start doing all this shit and like mutilating your body and all this other like just random fucking shit that's just so bad for your soul, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's why like people when they ask me like or like if they get like offended that like I'm like anti LGBTQ, I'm like, guys, I'm Christian. Like, what did you expect? Like, I'm sorry. I mean, I really am sorry if that like offends you, but at the same time, like, I'm sticking to this belief. I'm not
I don't
compromising.
think
Like,
it
I'm
should.
sorry.
I don't think that should offend anybody. I don't, bro. The world right now is so. It's so snowflake. It's like everybody's a snowflake. Everybody's afraid of getting their feelings hurt.
Oh my god.
Can't say anything without somebody getting their feelings hurt somehow. And it's like, bro, like your life is yours, my life is mine. We don't have to commingle our lives unless we're in a relationship. And like by definition, we're commingling our lives. But like you are over there. My opinion about you should not affect how you feel about yourself.
Yeah. No, I mean, we could go on a fucking 4 hour like tangent about this. Like every time, and like I'm trying to just do this less and less because it's so pointless. But like just going on social media and I see some like random rant about some like bullshit, I want to just like slide up and tell these like because I mean obviously I'm not gonna mention any names, but like I want to tell these people like if you're complaining about shit, just remember that like you are using a device that you have no idea how is made that you take for fucking granted from your air conditioned house, which you have no idea how to make.
Yeah,
You like it's like there's
there's so much
so
privilege.
many. Yeah, I know. And it's like that's why like it just baffles me. Like these people that think that like America sucks in that aspect, which I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fucking aspects in that it does suck, mainly from those kind of people that say it suck, you know? But I'm just like, guys, you are literally the fucking problem. Like there's nowhere else, like there's no way else to put it because like you said, it's just privilege and like you just it comes from like not realizing all of this fucking great shit that like this country has made and like just the Western world in general too.
You think the rapture is close?
Like it's like the country split.
No, I mean, like what's alluded to in Revelation. Do you think it's close?
Um, hmm, I don't know. Well, I know Isaac Newton predicted or some shit that like the world was gonna end in 2060, I think.
Oh man. All right.
That
Well,
that's likely. Well, no,
he's not gonna be
I
wrong.
think
So, well, nice
yeah.
knowing you, Will.
Yeah, well, that's why we got to do this podcast, dude, because we got to do some shit that's meaningful. So, um, yeah, well, so I think America is definitely not going to be a country in like the coming like at least in I'll give it maybe like 10 more years at the and then I just think it's going to be so fucking split between people that have like traditional values like we do, and then people that just like want to be nihilists and just do all
And
this random
nihilist.
bullshit.
Nihilism is I don't even, bro. I picked up this lunatic book. It's right in front of me. The Will to Power by Nietzsche. It's just like the most depressing thing ever. Where like you don't care
Ah,
about anything. Everything is nothing. Nothing matters. Means
yeah,
nothing.
no, because like I mean, I hate to like say like this about Nietzsche because like I haven't actually read his stuff. I've just kind of heard people talk about it. My understanding of it is that he like he hates um like obviously all these institutions and stuff, but also like he hates religion. He hates all these traditional values, and like I'm just like, and it's
Those
the
are what
same thing
built
I
the
could
world.
apply to these people that are like, like that are on Snapchat complaining about all this bullshit. And it's like the only reason you think this way is because your life is so good you don't even fucking realize it.
Yes, that's you just hit the nail on the head, man. That's
No, because I'm like all of this fucking LGBTQ stuff. I'm like, you want to go do that shit in Africa? You want to go do that shit in the Middle East? You think you're brave enough? Like, give me a fucking break. Like,
yeah, I know.
I know. Yeah, no, yeah, like you said, the level of privilege of the kind of people that are our age and like live in this country, it's insane, dude.
I think I have a different perspective because my parent. I don't know if your parents were immigrants, but my parents were immigrants here. They didn't immigrate together, but they met each other here. But they came from like Central America, from Nicaragua,
You're from
Honduras. Yeah,
Honduras,
my
right?
mom's from Nicaragua, my dad's from Honduras, and like,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't easy for them, so they came to America, and everything here is really nice. Like, no matter
Yeah.
as long as you're not homeless, like you are living the top 10% of people on Earth.
Oh, yeah, no, because America is so disproportionately fucking good to every single other country. Like, the literally the worst state in the country economically, Mississippi, has a better economy than Germany. Like, just take that into account.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, and I'm like, do you know how big of like a global like powerhouse that Germany is, like economically?
and
Mississippi is fucking better than that. Like,
it's
what?
funny. It's funny because if you're from America, you say like you're from Mississippi, they're gonna be like, "What? Like this guy lives in the middle of nowhere where nothing's at," and it's like it's a big.
But it's like it's still gonna have more like job opportunity. It's still just gonna have a higher standard of living. Like it's just all these things that when I mean obviously so last summer I went to Brazil, right? Um Even a country like Brazil, which has a lot of middle class people like me, um like they where like they have video games, they grew up with like TV shows and stuff like that. um even though there is a good bit of like middle class kind of Brazilians that are similar to like like financially to me, it was just like to see the difference of like being in a country where there is that, but then there's also a lot more like poor people and people living on the streets and stuff like that, and like people that weren't wearing like the nicest clothes and shit like that. Like I saw the fucking like perspective, and I was like, whoa. And like I'm complaining about this shit in like America. Like I was just living in such a bubble because like when I went to Brazil, it was just this whole like fucking world that I didn't even like realize existed. It was so cool.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've never been. I like you would believe it. I've never been outside the country, and like, so you went to Brazil for what? For what reason?
Oh, so I was visiting my Portuguese teacher and her family.
Oh, okay. So that's a good reason to go somewhere. Like I think a lot of times, well, I'm about to like literally just like start ranting. Here we go, Mark, with another rant.
Go ahead, Mark. Yeah, go fucking ahead,
Okay.
dude.
Sometimes I think I mean it's got to be arrogance like that we I think we got to that earlier in the podcast. A lot of times people will and maybe I'm imposing my own worldview onto others. Maybe I should.
Never, dude, never be ashamed of that. I will, if you're gonna say that to me, I'm not like you, but like if someone's gonna say that to me, I will instantly do everything I can to like prove that that's bullshit. Because when you're saying that to me, you have a logical fallacy. When you're saying, "Oh, you can't impose your view onto other people," well, you're imposing your fucking view onto me. So like, someone has to have a fucking worldview that's correct, you know?
Right. Okay, yeah, that's a good way of saying it. So, what I was gonna say is, a
Yeah, go
lot of
on. Yeah.
times people will go on a vacation somewhere. I'm ranting about vacations. People will go on a vacation somewhere for no reason at all, not to learn, even to learn. Like some people will go just like to waste time. And why would you go somewhere to like okay, you could say like you're enjoying it, right? And that's what you want to do. But like if you put that time into like you might be able to go somewhere way better in the future that like you could like I think time is a very important resource to keep track of because it's limited
Yeah.
and so
Well, and also like we said,
uh-huh
in America, there's a lot of fucking time.
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and like, well, I mean, I see what you're saying about those kind of vacations, and obviously, like, I would only go on vacation with my family and like my closest friends. I wouldn't go to some thing in like Cancun with a bunch of people I don't even know and get drunk. That's
Right,
just kind of
that's
that's not
exactly what
me,
I'm talking
you
about.
know. Yeah, no, if that's what you're talking about, I agree with you 100%. But a lot of like I would love go to like a fucking island. Like I would love to just go to Costa Rica with like the boys or some shit like that. That'd be fucking sick.
Mm,
Um, but even if like I wouldn't be doing anything productive, well, and I hate to say productive because that word's kind of toxic, but I would say constructive actually. But at the same time, no, vacation can be constructive if like you just take a time to like wind down, just bum out, because like that's what like um I mean that's like I mean it's obviously different than monasticism because you're still having all of this external stimuli with all this like food you're eating and a bunch of like the drinking and smoking and stuff like that, but at the same time you are essentially like because as opposed to monasticism where you're just fasting,
right.
but it's similar in the sense that you're just doing nothing, like you're just trying to not worry about some shit that like doesn't really matter in the long in the long term, and you're just like, you know what, I am just going to go with the fucking flow of the moment and just, yeah, I'm just gonna do nothing. And
What is the meaning of life? Do you think life's about progression?
Ye- well, life's about Jesus.
Good answer. Well, what's
Yeah,
so what's
well,
the
and so,
meaning?
well, and so then you'll ask me like, well, then, well, what is Jesus? Well, so like, I mean, obviously you need to look at the teachings of Jesus, and Jesus's teachings are that you should, I mean, it's mainly that you should love one another, and that like all of this like violence and shit isn't the answer, and like also you need to like, and the other main thing which he proves through his his passion and his crucifixion is that shit can't just be good all the time. Like there's gonna be shit that sucks. There's gonna be shit that like, you just don't want to fucking do, but you have to do it anyway. That's why like Jesus is the like number one prime example of practice what you preach, because he's preaching all of this message of like love your neighbor as yourself, and all that stuff, and it's like, yes, that's 100% true, but if he doesn't die on the cross, then he's literally being a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah,
And that's why by dying on the cross, he like the most profound act of love ever. Like, yeah,
fully
he just he fulfills everything. He's redeemed the world. He doesn't ask for anything I mean, okay, no, well, no, that's not true. He asks for us to love him and obey his commandments, and to love to love one another as he loved us. And that's why all these people that are saying all this peace, love, and joy bullshit, it's like, yeah, how about you go die on the cross? I'm not saying I could do it, but I mean, it's like, just fucking think about that.
yeah. Sacrificing yourself for people who have never who you've never met, who may not be grateful. like for not for any recognition, just purely for selflessness in the name of love.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I saw on this video from Pints with Aquinas, which is this Catholic YouTube channel I really like to watch. I don't know if you've heard of him. When he was talking about this like really fucking disturbing pro-abortion tweet that was saying they were gonna like burn the Eucharist and stuff like that.
What?
He was explaining, yeah, no, he was explaining how um like these, or it might have been a comment he read on that tweet, but someone said like th- um at the end of the day, these people still are like souls that like could that like that Christ has died for, you know.
Hmm.
So therefore, we still just have to pray for them because that's different. Obviously, loving your loving your enemy is different than loving demons. You cannot love demons. There's a very fucking big distinction between that because obviously your enemies have chance for redemption, but demons are just no. They have no redemption because they've already made the decision of like of like just completely going against God and like just rejecting everything and actively going against him. And that's why in like have you seen Death Note?
Yeah, where you write in the notebook like there's this thing that comes out.
Yeah, but are you familiar with like the Shinigami aspect of it?
No, I'm not.
So I know Gami in Japanese means God. I think oh yeah. Shini means death, I believe. And then I know Gami means God. So it's like you're like a death god. The Shinigami are the people who write in, like they have the death notes and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But there's like this theory that like if a human like possesses Death Note and he gets that fucking sick and tortured in it, like he eventually becomes a Shinigami. And you can see this in other like cultures around the world, like in like the Native American cultures with like the Wendigo.
Hmm.
When like because like to become a Wendigo, I think like you have to commit cannibalism and like that's what like just it breaks the line and you have become an insane entity and like you're no longer human and you've made your decision and there's no coming back, you know.
So, so what exactly is a demon? I'm not really familiar with that.
They're fallen angels.
Like, can they be human though? Can they be like a man?
No, that's the thing. That's what makes it different is because the demons, I mean they can control man, but
Ah,
the demon no, because like an angel is different than a human,
yeah.
right? So so it's like there's the saints in heaven, those are the humans that are in heaven, but then the angels are like the like they're like they're the tier below like God and stuff like that. So to speak, to put it that way. But basically what makes like a demon is that they're a fallen angel, and it's like what are the angels? The angels are they're the army of God. They're like the ranks of hosts and stuff like that. They're the people that like they bring like the angel Gabriel. They connect all this shit. There's a bunch of things they do. They're also really fucking powerful.
Uh,
um, th- yeah, no, exactly. And they are literally the messengers of God. And so like when you're that good and you decide to go against God, you have they commit the like ultimate atrocity. Why? Like this is why Satan is the worst entity of all time. Why? Because Satan was the greatest angel ever, and then he decided like, you know what? I'm better than you, God. I don't need you. I'm better than all these other angels. So I'm going against you, and that's why God rejected him. And also, like that's the other thing because what makes something bad is that it okay. What makes something bad is that it took something that was good and made it bad, right? Because that's why like Lucifer was so good, and then it got distorted and it became Satan. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's why it's different. Obviously, when like like and like island culture who has never heard the of like Jesus before commits a sin. That's like different than someone who actually is Christian commits a sin because someone who is Christian has like the full knowledge of the truth. You know. Yeah.
There's a rule about that in Catholicism, right?
About what?
If
Like
you have
the
like
how
if you have no knowledge of the truth, then like you're excused, kinda like that.
well, okay, I'll put it well, okay. Um Not necessarily. So okay, so there's vincible ignorance and there's invincible ignorance. Invincible ignorance is like there was no fucking possible way for you to know about the gospel, like Aristotle. Like it would literally have been empirically impossible for him to hear of the gospel. So therefore, obviously, like that's like when the exceptions came. Obviously, he's he's still judged before God, but he's judged differently. And the same thing applies to these like island cultures and stuff like that. Now that's different than someone who is vincibly ignorant. Someone who's vincibly ignorant is like a Catholic who doesn't fucking give a shit about the faith and doesn't care to know anything about this. That's vincible, meaning like conquerable, you know. Like you can overcome that. But if you don't get past vincible ignorance, then you're fucked.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, man, I gotta go. I gotta go finish up this business plan, and then
Oh yeah, yeah, go do it. I think we had a really good ass
we spoke
conversation.
about a lot of things,
If
dude.
you want to Yeah, I mean, if you want to do another one, I'm more than happy to do it.
Oh, that sounds actually, yeah. Let's actually do that for sure, for sure.
Yeah, because I'm always trying to get more guests and just get more like content out.
I'm gonna post this on my LinkedIn. I have a lot of followers. So,
Oh, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll send you the audio file. So if you want to edit it together,
yep. All right, man.
yeah, you could bring them over and like, cause I need more viewers and more likes.
What's your goal for the channel? Like real quick before we go.
It's just like I'm not looking for anything really financially out of it. If it does come, obviously that'll be cool. But I'm just doing this because I'm just trying to do constructive things, and it's a good way to just get my voice out. You
Okay,
know.
that makes sense. Doing
Yeah.
God's work, brother.
Well, it was. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was really nice catching up with you again, dude. I can't believe how much we have in common. It's insane because like most people our age, like I I can't even fucking they would be in this conversation listening. They'd be like, "What? It's so stupid." I hate that
Yeah, he'd be
bullshit.
like, I'm about to go out, dude. Fuck this.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, that was really fun, man. I hope you have a good night. Good luck with your business. Ciao.
All right, man. Peace. Take care.
Yeah. Okay. You too, man. Bye.